Hey, thanks for coming to my channel. One of my favorite hobbies is definitely reading. Whether it be fiction or nonfiction, I think there's something so amazing about being able to either be transported to another time or place, and something about being able to read a book and just getting all this knowledge that someone spent their hard work putting into a book. But that's not what you're here for. You saw the title of this and you know that this is my Pregnancy and Parenting TBR. A few months ago, I made a huge list of books that I wanted to read while I was pregnant. My time is extremely constrained right now. So I don't know where I got the idea that I was going to be able to read like 1,000,000 books in a couple of months. So unfortunately, this isn't a massive book review, which is what I was really hoping it would be, but it's a Pregnancy and Parenting TBR. I love watching people's TBRs. So I think this could still be very interesting or informative. Hopefully you enjoy it, and maybe if you like it, give me a thumbs up in the future months as I read these. Maybe I can give you the monthly updates. What is it that people do? Their monthly what I read this month kind of deal. I'm babbling again, so let's jump into the video. The first book that I want to talk about is one that I actually read. Believe it or not, I finally got through one book and I thought it was a really fun read. It's called Hunt, Gather, Parent by Micheline Duclef. I believe that's how you pronounce it. She was a journalist and she did a lot of traveling for her job. One thing that she noticed in her travels was that a lot of cultures excelled at different aspects of raising children and did things very differently than is commonly accepted in the West. She goes into Western history of parenting advice, which is so interesting. For this book, she travels to 3 specific locations. For the first one, she stays with a Maya family in Mexico, where she focuses on raising children who are helpful or acomedido. She tells beautiful stories about the family she stays with and gives lots of actually practical tips and tricks that you can use. The second family that she stays with is an Inuit family up in Nunavut. I'm trying to think of the name of the city. Kugaruk. I butchered that. I believe it's in Nunavut. And it's an Inuit family, and she really focuses on their amazing ability for executive functioning and emotional regulation. Again, beautiful stories about the people that she meets and lots of actually practical tips and tricks. Third section, same idea. She goes and stays with the Hadzabe tribe in Tanzania, I believe, and meets some really great kids who are very autonomous, which she explains is not to be mistaken for kids' idea of independence in the Western world. Autonomy is more about knowing that you are connected and really taking initiative to foster that connection. Again, stories, tips, and tricks. I'm gonna try to stop myself from talking about this anymore. I'm in the middle of writing a book review and will provide a link to in the description below if you're interested. Check out my thoughts there. So this one I loved. Is there something kind of reductionist? Yeah, you could make an argument for that, but at the same time, I appreciate that she wrote this book. I do think it was really good. It is, however, I would say more for the toddler and up stage. There's not really much about babies or pregnancy. The second book is one that I've had for a long time. This I actually found in my library's used book section. It's called The Conscious Parent by Shefali Tsabary. I've listened to a number of her TED Talks years ago, and I think she has a lot of really cool stuff to say. I did start reading it. I think it is a great book. A lot of the things that she says feel very similar to a lot of the things that you will read in conscious living or spiritual self-help type of vibes, but she puts a parenting spin on them, and I think it is very important. And there are definitely a lot of parts that I read out loud to my husband because I did think that it was a very good book. Now, I have not finished this book yet, but I wouldn't DNF it. It is a good book. I bought that book and started reading it. So I am planning on going back and finishing this. I have an audiobook actually by the same author, Shefali Tsabary, called The Awakened Family. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. I definitely plan on listening to it. I just really like her point of view on raising kids, not necessarily to be a certain anything, but to be authentically themselves. I'm looking forward to listening to that. The next book that I have here is Montessori from the Start, The Child at Home from Birth to Age 3. I've definitely seen it recommended a whole lot. I think it's a lot more practical advice, things that you can can actually do, ways that you can arrange the environment, etc., etc. I am very interested in Montessori parenting. There is another Montessori book that I would like to read. I don't have it here. I have not purchased it yet. It is called Montessori Baby. I think it is very much along the same lines. It's also written by someone who wrote one called Montessori Toddler, which I've heard amazing things about. So I'm looking forward to delving into the Montessori world even further. Going back to the first book, which is about looking at the ways other cultures raise their children, I think that that is such an interesting aspect. I think that it's important to look at things that other cultures do, because sometimes it's really easy for us to get wrapped up in our own ways of life and to kind of dismiss a lot of the things that other people do. But I think that it's nice to get sort of a more well-rounded look at parenting. This is one that I just recently purchased. I found it on ThriftBooks, which is where I've got, I think, pretty much all of these books. This is called The Tibetan Art of Parenting, From Before Conception Through Early Childhood. I may actually skip the beginning just for now, as it doesn't currently apply to my situation. It begins with preconception. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not looking for the other pages. Goes into gestation, which I may or may not read at the moment because we're kind of nearing the end here. Birthing, bonding, and so on. And I just think it's really interesting, and I probably will end up going back and reading the beginnings. I love to experience different cultures, and having a book that allows me to do that, I think, is a really cool way and affordable and family-friendly way for me to do that. There is another book that I don't have here that is about Scandinavian parenting. I have like a little list that I made here, so that's why I keep looking down. It's called There's No Such Thing as Bad Weather. And again, I just think it's really interesting to be able to look into other cultures. Other ones about kind of different parenting styles are these by Alfie Cohen. To be honest, I don't know a lot about him. I am really looking forward to learning more about it. This is called Punished by Rewards, The Trouble with Gold Stars, Incentive Plans, A's, Praise, and Other Bribes. What I'm really interested in is sort of the fact that he talks about how rewards focus children on extrinsic factors as opposed to intrinsic factors for doing things. This is called The Myth of the Spoiled Child. I really don't know too much about it, but I saw it on ThriftBooks for a reasonable amount, and I thought, I've heard really interesting things about him and his controversial ideas, and I, if nothing else, am interested in controversial ideas. It gives you something to think about. Whether you agree or disagree, it's really interesting to read things that spark something in your brain to make you think critically. That's why sometimes I like to read books that are controversial. This book here is called Dear Parent, Caring for Infants with Respect by Magda Gerber, which I've heard a lot of people refer to almost as like a parenting Bible. She is the one who came up with respectful parenting, the RIE approach for parenting. This talks about meeting the needs of infants and parents. She is an infant specialist, so I think it'd be cool to read prior to baby's arrival. Another book that I really like to read that I don't have here is called The Whole Brain Child. I will put a picture of it up here. I've heard a lot of good things about it. This is another one that I got from ThriftBooks. It's called Living Outside the Box, TV-Free Families Share Their Secrets. This is something that is really close to my heart. I think it's very difficult right now. I think that it's so important that kids spend time without screens, that kids tap into their own creativity, that boredom isn't a bad thing, that they don't always need a box telling them what to think or how to think. I thought maybe this would be helpful, and also to help convince my husband and the people that are going to be around the baby that I really don't want screens on while baby is like under 2 or 3. There's also another book called Remotely Controlled that I don't have, but I believe it's sort of along the same vein. Another book that I haven't been able to find for under like $40, and I want to read while I'm pregnant so that as soon as baby is born, we're able to begin implementing some of the things that we learned from that book. And that is a book called Go Diaper Free by Andrea Olson. I've heard a lot of great things about it. It is about elimination, communication. And like I said, I haven't been able to find this book. It's kind of the one that everyone has mentioned, but I have seen that she has a podcast. The last book I have over here, which I'm sure is not the last book that I would like to read as far as baby. It's called Baby Sign Language Made Easy. I want to give baby a chance to be able to tell us what they want. Baby sign language seems to be a good way to do it. There are a lot of videos. I don't know how necessary having a book is in today's society, because I'm sure we could just YouTube baby sign language and things would come up, but I did think that this would be nice in case anyone wanted to flip through and maybe find something a little easier. I don't know. It's got signs. It's got songs. I think that it's fun and it's a good way to be able to help baby to communicate with us. So that is my pregnancy and parenting TBR. Did I actually think that I was going to get all these books read during pregnancy? Somehow I did. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I've gotten the one read, but I'm gonna continue to work through at least the ones that I already have. Let me know if you'd be interested in doing sort of more booky type of content, because I would love to share. I appreciate you so much. If you're still here, subscribe. Let's do some more, and give me a like. It really helps me in the algorithm. I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Have a beautiful day. And let me know in the comments below what your favorite parenting, pregnancy, or completely unrelated book is, because I like reading all types of books. Thanks for watching.